Welcome to Candidly Creative. I'm Ilani.
And I'm Lisa.
This is where we connect with people, their ideas, and passions through conversations. Hi there, Ilani here.
And Lisa.
Welcome to yet another edition of Candidly Creative. Right now, today we're going to be talking maybe specifically to parents. We're going to be talking to Barbi Bagosh, who is a yoga practitioner from Hungary. She's been a yoga practitioner for about 7 years now. She's been in Asia for about 15, in China, Thailand, and obviously now in Malaysia, right? And we'll be talking about meditation and how it's going to help us in dealing with whatever is going around us and with parenting, right?
And also especially during the time of what we're experiencing right now with COVID. So obviously, trying to get the best help that we can for ourselves as well, busy parents, dealing with families and all that kind of things.
Yeah. Mental awareness.
Yeah.
Mental, emotional awareness. That's what we'll be talking about today, right? So without further ado, we'll be talking to Barbi. Hi.
Hi, hello girls.
Hello.
Hi. How are you this morning?
I'm very well, thank you, Ilani. I'm doing pretty well. How are you guys? How are you?
Yeah, we're good. Surviving, whatever's going on like everybody else. How's the whole MCO been for you? Has it been tough, or you've been practicing yoga that's been helping you?
Well, the answer would be yes, it helps. I'm not sure. No, it does. MCO has been ups and downs as well, like for everyone else, I believe. The practice has definitely helped me a lot to get through all this frustration. And even when I was not teaching, I was trying to, especially when we didn't have any classes going on in the very strict part of the MCO, then I tried to come back again to my own practice, which was such a saving grace in many, many cases. Yes, and then also from the feedback of the classes kept them going in the rest of the MCO time. So I think it's a really grateful gift that we can have for ourselves, whether you're practicing by yourself or you have someone to lead you in a even virtual class or a physical class.
So maybe can you just like start off by telling us like what made you starting practicing like yoga? What was your background about? What made you start really getting into it?
Sure. Yeah. It's gonna be the very usual story that I think you're gonna hear from many people that
yes.
We were living in China. We were living in Shanghai, right, for quite a long time, for 10 years. And it's a really hectic, it's a very urban lifestyle, quite disconnecting, I think, from a lot of like how to live close to nature, how to live much more mindfully. And it was just a stressful time in my life as well. So I started to pick up the practice when I was living there. And it gradually became my escape, really, from the urban lifestyle, and it just grew, and it went on to the point that I actually left my job, my position from the corporate that I was working, and I started to go into teaching. That's the short, not so short, shorter version. And ever since then, yes, I've been teaching. So I started in China when we lived still in China. I was teaching there for a few years, and then we moved from Shanghai to Thailand briefly, to Malaysia, and ever since I'm here, I've been teaching nonstop.
So, what is the most misconception idea? Because today we're going to talk more about meditation.
What do you think is the misconception about meditation? Okay, let's start there. What, okay, the difference between maybe meditation and yoga, although it's related, it's connected. How is it the
Sure.
same? How is it different? Right?
So can we
Sure.
meditate and not do yoga at all, right?
Oh yeah, of course. So yeah, let me give my thoughts on this,
Yeah.
and probably everyone has
Yes.
thoughts, right? So meditation is definitely, I think it's a very mystical concept for so many people, and the yoga practice itself in meditation that you have to do yoga in order to meditate, which is not entirely true. Like if we look at back in history, the yoga practice itself was developed to help us meditate, but there are many other ways to do that. And so it doesn't have to be like a mat practice that we're doing. Some people are actually reaching into meditative state by completely different activation mindset through cooking, or when they are busy with the artwork. It's really about like a consciousness to state in your mind at your reach. And there are definitely so many ways to achieve that. And why it is, I believe, so difficult, because it is a very subtle experience, right? To experience a change in your mind, thought, in your consciousness.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, when we talk about meditation, right, there's a lot of fear. I don't think, people talk about meditation, as someone would excite eating ice cream, I'm saying? It's just not, the excitement is just not there. It's just, we equate that as being like really hard, like something like you can't attain, right? So, why do you think is that? Like you said, because is it people don't want to connect with what they are thinking? Is it scary?
Because meditation means that you have to sit, well, not necessarily, but you have to be observant. You have to become your own observer. So it's you can think about it more in a way like, I think the best way I can put it is that you're watching your own movie. You're watching a movie when you are the main character, and you see yourself like you're the actor and the audience at the same time.
Right.
And when the audience of your own movie, you're continuously going to have judgment and thoughts like, what the hell am I doing? How do I look? Like, why was I saying that, right? You're constantly having this discussion with yourself. So this is the hard part. And basically in meditation, what we want is we are still becoming the audience of our own movie, but you look at a third person, like, I'm seeing what's happening. I see what I'm doing, but I'm not reacting to it. I'm just observing. Okay. So it's like, this is a hard part, that you need to become a non-reactive audience of yourself. And it's very hard, because our mind wants to chatter immediately. It wants to have a discussion and reaction to anything that we are experiencing.
If you're having like a good day, so whatever you're doing, you're meditating is going to be, nice, right? Like you don't like the analogy that you said, like watching your own movie. I think that's perfect. I think that totally makes sense. If you're having a good day, everything's good in your life. I think, who does not want to like rewatch that? But so does that mean if you're having just like, bad day, just like, a bad year, it becomes a bit more scarier to just like meditate. So how can that, help somebody when you're having that, just wanting to look at your own story
You
is
know what?
hard.
Okay, I'm just gonna jump in. I think I know what Barbie's gonna say there. Okay, so it's basically like what it's just about awareness, right, Barbie? Once you're aware, then maybe whatever good or bad that is going to happen, you kind of like realize and maybe have some kind of a realization or awareness, or maybe even a solution to what the situation is, right? Let's say if you're having that deep of a meditation and that deeper an understanding, you just kind of like look at the situation around you and kind of like observe. Like you said, when you observe, you learn. And when you learn, maybe in the middle of it, you kind of find your own realization or even solution, right? I mean,
Okay, let's see what Barbie says.
Of course. That's a good answer. But that's so the problem that we don't really realize, I think, in general, is that in most cases we react to everything from an
Right.
emotional point, right? Everything that happens to us, as you said, Lisa, whether it's a positive or a negative experience, you're gonna be filled with emotions, and your emotions can blind you. You probably, something brilliant happened to you. You are in that moment, you're not thinking clearly, so your aesthetic mode is overtaking you, right?
Mhm.
And whenever something terrible happens, like well, I don't want to name names anyway, we all experience losses or difficult times. Again, all of those emotions are clouding us in the mind. We can't think clearly. So when this deep emotional state we are in, may not act properly, or we may not act in a way that we would act in a neutral situation. And so many times, conflicts can come from this in our lives. Like, we say something that we should not have said, we do something that we should not have done. And basically, with this meditative practice or meditation practice, you're constantly doing a little check-in with yourself, like, hang on a minute, let me see if I was right or wrong, putting my emotional experiences aside, just looking at my situation objectively, and Ilani, as you said, learn from it, because I could have been wrong as well. My emotions just were flooding over me, and I said things, I acted in a way I should not have. So, and whenever we're doing this, we're going to have this, spillover effects, like in so many cases. So having these regular moments of meditation or not even meditation, but like, I would say more like checking in with ourselves can be very eye-opener. So, but whatever you learn in a situation, if you recognize the same pattern, like, oh, I keep reacting this way when something happens to me, maybe the next time you know better, like, okay, I should not be acting. Let me wait for, let me calm down until I'm calming down, and that's when I say the proper thing that should be said.
So I guess, I mean, everybody should meditate like every day. I mean, that's a recommended time, or what would you say
really
to that?
I think it's really hard to see, because also you don't have to look at meditation as something like very like a profession. I think you can also call it like quieting down. Just quiet down for a few moments or a few minutes. Just just go a little bit deep in and close your eyes if you have to. Even lying down on your mat, if you have to, just detach from what your external environment for a moment. And some people, for example, some teachers recommend that at the end of your day, when you go to bed, do that checking in of your day, like what have you have done the day, how you have acted on the day. So you learn from these experiences.
I think also with that you feel accomplished as well. It's just part of you go through down the list, you've learned it, you've done that. So it's just also feeling like really accomplished what you've done for the day.
Absolutely, yes. It's a great accomplishment. Also in my experience, I always look at it in a way like it's a reset button for your mind. You're like resetting yourself all the time, because when every time, think about it in a way that you have so much dust building, emotions, thoughts, all of these keep building up, up, up. And if we never wipe them out, they just keep building up on each other, right? So I think about it more in a way that every time you do a little bit of meditative few moments in your day, you are dusting those thoughts away. So you reset yourself for whatever comes after that. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't have the emotions, have it, but we need to learn to control the emotions.
Like you said, keep it in check, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, okay, I think that's a good point of how do we start? How would one start? Because like you said, it's a little bit nerve-wracking for somebody that hasn't even done that before, right? So like to quiet down, how would you suggest one that hasn't even had any experience, but they want to do it, like just an insight tip, beginning tip on how can you start, that meditation practice?
There is no one size fits all.
No,
Have you heard that?
Right. I know, but it's a good step.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Right.
Again, my best advice would be in this case as well, like we need to like what kind of people we are, what kind of person we are, because for some people what's going to happen, this is why I mentioned, for example, cooking, like some people can actually like really zone out when they are cooking and they are busy in the kitchen. And if, let's say, that's something that calms you down, or I would say disconnects you from your usual thoughts, maybe that activity is going to help you to decluster a lot of things, right, in your mind. And after cooking, let's say you finish your cooking, and that's when you can maybe sit down and just take a few quiet moments for yourself. So the activity itself is the cooking that helps you to calm down, to ground down. For some people, it's going to be jogging or walking or whatever, swimming, I don't know what they can do. For some people, it's going to be yoga practice because they feel so physically in the body and they feel like I need to get rid of this physical agitation from my body. Majority of the people, if I tell them, okay, sit down for 5 to 10 minutes now, people are going to be like, oh my God, I'm hurting. I feel tired. I can't sit straight. So there's going to be a lot of distractions coming from your physical experience, your physical body as well. So this is where yoga practice can be quite helpful to get rid of those physical agitations. And then you can, move on. And then there are also other techniques, breathing, for example, some practices just to watch their breathing. And this is why I said no one size fits all, because everyone is going to be finding different things. If I come from the tradition of the practice, again, many different ways, but definitely the physical one, the yoga practice is one, the breath practice, chanting, singing mantras, which probably also familiar with, that can be really helpful for many, many people. I'm sure there are more that I'm missing, but
yeah. But I think it's I've never thought about, like, what were you saying? It's so true. Like meditation can be different things, like you say, cooking. Some people like to sew. I don't think I've ever yeah, she's obsessed with sewing right now. So I never sort of like view it as also part of meditation. And I think that that is something really, really interesting. And you're right, like when you're doing that, maybe you sort of like learn to sort of like declutter what you have in your mind. So it's just not all about, sitting and just, I think we equate when we do meditation of just like, the eyes closed, like trying to really unblock everything that you have, in your head at the moment. Though I think traditionally that's what people associate it with. But, having things that you're passionate about doing as well, that can help you relax. That's a really good thing.
So it sounds to me like as long as it takes you out of your body, I guess in your, you know what I mean, like not out of your head for a little bit, like then that's good, you know, because
So
I know, like when I cook and I'm on my own by myself cooking, that to me is relaxing. I mean, I know
But
I,
you would have never called it meditation though.
but I know
right?
I've never called it meditation, but I know that's when I'm out of my, you know, I'm out of my thoughts. You know, I'm, you know, I'm out of my own head. I'm just focused on what I'm cooking, and no one else is around me. That's why I kind of enjoy cooking on my own.
you
See
exactly
that
like that.
yeah.
I think that meditation is over mystified, and there are these are is active meditations, right? Like some people walk for like an hour, and that's for them a walking meditation, like an active meditation. So absolutely, what you said, Lani, is right on point. That anything that takes you out of that like really conscious thinking persona, and
Mhm.
then you rise above it, you are already in some form of a meditative state without you realizing. And this is why I always say that everyone is capable of this. We're just not aware of it. It's really over
Right.
mystified just because of maybe, I don't know, like lack of information probably, or lack of education in this sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Definitely.
I think that's great. Like, you know, in that way, people are not so afraid with that word. And then, you know, you can try different things
Yeah.
that can, you know, you can grow into experiencing other things that you enjoy as well when you see the thing not as a burden, but as something to help you unleash your burden.
Exactly. Like for example, for an artist, and I think you guys can relate to that because there is some artists really going through you as well.
Yeah.
The artist who creates, for example, a painter, when you're painting, when you're drawing, even as a musician, you're playing any music, that's when you're completely out of your conscious thinking, right? You are in a different mindset, in a different zone. Just imagine a musician who, let's say, plays for himself, let's say not for like an audience, okay, that's different because then you're performing, right? But when you are just playing by yourself in your own room, in your own house for an hour in your instrument, you're only playing for yourself really, and you get mindset. So that's completely declustering you, because a lot of times when you come out of that session, you go like, wow, I just feel so refreshed. It's eventually doing the same thing for you, like for someone like a meditation. So this is why I said there are so many different ways to experience this, and so many people actually doing it without noticing, without realizing that, yes, we are doing a way of meditation, meditative practice.
But okay, so let's go to the I think the first conversation we had is just like when people do meditate, and then they you know, they think about the actions and, you know, what you've done, you know, you control your emotions and those kind of things, right? So, and to tie it to like what you just mentioned, playing music, I mean, that's a very like, you know, very unconscious state, like, you know, you feel so good about yourself. So when does the moment that you have to reflect back? So where does it meet, you know? So when you play the music, then you have to like sit down and sort of like think about all your actions, or those are just two separate kind of like meditation? The one that you have to consciously sort of like think, or the one that very unconsciously just makes you feel better without having to think too much?
It's not like you have to. It doesn't have to be a must, because
Okay.
even when you, okay, let me try to see if I can explain it better. Like when you're entering into that different consciousness, you are actually not controlling it. So you are not in control. You are again, you're becoming the observant of whatever is happening to you.
Mhm.
Let's say when take this example, when you are the musician who is playing and completely lost in what you're doing right now, you don't have to think anything. Just stay in that mood, just be there, right? Just be there and experience that mindset. Then you can probably reflect back on yourself, or just reflect back on like, oh, okay, now I have calmed down. Now I look at, I don't know, my relationships differently. I'm not so angry anymore. So it already like happens to you.
Right.
You just maybe having a little bit more self-awareness to that.
Okay.
So, and the same thing goes when you're like actively meditating. I mean, like traditional way, when you sit down, it happens naturally. It's something that takes you there naturally. And when it happens, you stay there. You don't do anything. You're just experiencing it. And then when you come back from that state, that's when you have reset when you have pushed the reset button, like, okay, now I am again probably not so angry anymore, or not so frustrated anymore. I said, like, now I can talk to you in a calm way without shouting your head off.
Oh,
like,
okay, yeah.
Go. So you see, what I mean is that all of these practices or meditative practices are helping us to just slip into a mindset for that moment, for a brief moment, however long it doesn't matter. You stay there when you're there, because that's when you're resetting everything. And then when you come back from it, come back to your conscious mind, to your logical mind, you look at, again, your situation, your circumstances, and because probably by that time your emotions have calmed down already, most likely. So this is the thing, like any meditative has to get those emotional waves to cool off. And
it sounds we're talking about awareness, isn't it? When you are in the moment, you're kind of more aware. So,
oh, yeah,
it increases your awareness.
for sure.
Yeah.